Okay, so let's get comfortable in our seats and in our surroundings, whether we're at the city or the cottage or wherever we are. Just spending a moment before we drop into the breath of getting acclimatized to where you are and all the sounds that you might be hearing. Some of us might be hearing cars and things flying around, and others might be hearing the chirping of birds and the crickets. So just getting acclimatized to the sounds because they are so important to us and they are part of our everyday experience. So we want to practice dropping into the sound, and instead of judging the sound, like the city traffic noise sometimes can be irritating, instead of judging it, just noticing it and not allowing it to affect our vibration the way it is right now as we gather together in this meditation sangha. And even in the beauty of nature, if you're hearing the birds or the crickets or the silence of the country, we can still get caught up in judgment. Isn't that beautiful? And then we stay stuck in how beautiful it is. But as we notice the beauty, that's all we're doing. We're just noticing. And so now, as we move forward in our meditation this morning, just closing the eyes, opening the body, the chest and the heart, relaxing those shoulders, noticing any tension that may be around us, in us, through us. And we drop very gently into our breath. As we become aware of the breath, as we become aware of the lungs that are allowing us to breathe, and having gratitude for that breath. And we might notice with our breath the depth of it, whether it's deep in our chest, all the way to the diaphragm, or more shallow than that. We're not trying to make it different. We're not trying to achieve anything. We are simply noticing what is. We notice the ebb and flow, and we make a connection to the ebb and flow of our lives. Sometimes our lives are flowing so smoothly and so nicely, where we can embrace the energy of joy and happiness. And at other times, we notice various things ebbing into our lives. And as those experiences come into our awareness, we connect with feelings that are attached to it or associated with it. And when we make that mind-body connection, the experience happens and we feel something. We sit with the feeling very briefly and in total present moment awareness. We're not analyzing the feeling, wondering where it's coming from or why it's here. And we're not worrying about what is going to happen. Instead, we make that connection with the mind, body, and spirit as we simply bring intention and attention to the feeling. Sometimes those feelings are right there, ready to be expressed or ready to be let go. And at other times, those feelings are much deeper. They've been there for a long time. And in many cases, we have no idea what had triggered them. We've simply buried them. And we bury things for all kinds of reasons. Often we are afraid to feel them. We are uncertain, and so we compartmentalize them. At other times, we simply get too busy to deal with it. But the feeling still resides in our body. And when we sit in that silence with nowhere to go and nowhere to be, we are opening that container that we've created. We open the container that has created maybe some walls or some protection for us. And maybe today we simply just open that container a tiny little crack. Just enough to let some light in to shine on what might be there. We're not conjuring it up or making it up or striving to dig deep. Those activities are cognitive activities and they will not serve us. Instead, we sit with the awareness and let whatever needs to come at this present moment to come. And when we feel something arising, we actually have gratitude for it. We're welcoming it. We're honoring that it is at long last rising to the surface. We might simply apply curiosity. This is curious. But we bring a beginner's mind as though we've never seen or felt these feelings or thoughts before. And as a feeling or thought arises, we don't feed that wolf. We don't allow that wolf to get its grip on us. We know that we have the inner wisdom to deal with the wolf, to watch it. But when we begin that process of feeding, the wolf will not want to leave. And so we ask ourselves, is this serving me in this moment in time? But in order to find the answer to that question, we must be curious about what it is serving. Is whatever the feeling or thought helping us to grow and move forward in our lives? Or is it feeding a need that may not be serving us? And so we simply get curious and not attached, but we notice. And then we notice again and again and again. So we allow ourselves to free our minds and our hearts of the challenging vibrations that are around us. As we open our minds to possibility and our hearts to love, tenderness, and compassion. We allow ourselves the witnessing skills to see when we are not acting in a tender, compassionate way or loving way. And we notice when our thoughts are taking over and we are wandering blindly through our lives. It takes practice and loving kindness towards ourselves. And when we notice that we are caught up in thought or emotion, we pause. We go back to our breath. And we simply allow it to just move away from our awareness. Not by pushing it back down, but by setting it free. Because in setting that free, we are freeing ourselves. We are freeing ourselves from possible anguish, anger, fear. all of the things that hold us back. And as we go through our day to day, perhaps we notice what's coming up for us, what's in our awareness, what am I thinking and feeling? And then we notice that we can just simply push it away into that cloud as it floats out of our awareness and also out of our cells and our body. And as we let those things float away, perhaps in that white cloud that we've talked about before, we come back to notice how our bodies are feeling. And we notice how our mind opens up when we allow ourselves to do that. That we bring ourselves into our parasympathetic nervous system and we can see more clearly. We can move through our lives with ease, with intention, with love, and with joy. And so for the next few moments, as we sit together in silence, we become aware of what is floating around, ready to be expressed or released. We notice as we begin that silent meditation where our energy vibration is. And we also become aware of the vibration among our little Sangha here, even though we are not in the same room. Our energy exists out there and can be felt by all of us. And so we will sit in silence until you hear my voice again. May our minds be free from worry and anxiety. May our hearts be filled with love and compassion. And may our spirits and bodies be open, healthy, and wise.